Cultural awareness while communicating is such an important topic. I would think that most of us in this class have been in a situation where we've had to communicate with somebody who has different cultural beliefs. If you haven't, then I can assure you that you will eventually be put in a situation where you will have to deal with a few cultural barriers. This country is a melting pot after all. When reading the passages that were assigned to us, I found myself getting extremely frustrated with a Moroccan family that invited the American over for dinner. The entire time I kept thinking, well, that's just actually him being extremely polite, giving the child a compliment, or asking where the wife was so he could say thank you for having him over, is something that would be rude not to do in the American culture. When you think about it though, the American was living in Morocco and should have done a bit of research on the culture. This would have alleviated a majority of the issues faced during this particular interaction. For me though, if I had somebody over for dinner who did not know the American culture, I would handle it much better than the Moroccan family did. I would honestly love teaching and explaining the traditions and customs to somebody who is unaware. I personally feel that both parties handled this situation poorly. I have personally been in many situations where I've had to communicate effectively with other cultures. While I was in the Army, I trained with many people from all around the world. Soldiers from Guam, Africa, and India. I was able to get an inside view on how different cultures operated. Even though we were from different cultures, we still had so much in common. The hard part is being able to get past that initial language barrier. I found that showing a genuine interest in their beliefs and practices was the key to breaking all barriers. I was able to teach them about my culture, and they did the same for me. If you are open-minded, you can really gain a lot of knowledge. I have also done a lot of missionary work. My first mission trip was with my church when I was 11 years old. We went to Reynosa, Mexico. Before I left for my trip, I remember my parents telling me that things were going to be very unfamiliar and different there. To be honest, I didn't really believe them. I thought that the only difference between us and them was which side of the border we were on, and that some may speak Spanish. How different could it really be? I mean, it's only a 9-hour drive from Houston. When I got there, I was in shock to say the least. Nobody spoke English, and everybody lived with at least 4 families to a house. I was extremely shy, and some would say antisocial for the first couple of days. I wasn't trying to be impolite, it was just a culture shock. How do you communicate with somebody who doesn't even understand you? What good can you do if you can't have a verbal conversation? Now, I remember my pastor taking me aside on the second day and telling me that words are not the only way to communicate, and actions speak way louder. I really took that advice to heart, and I immediately realized I could show them my heart. May sound cheesy, but it worked. Once I opened up, a whole new experience began. They were very welcoming and showed me the ins and outs of their culture, the different cuisines, the way they eat their meals, religious beliefs and practices. I ended up developing a huge respect for that culture, and actually carried over some of the traditions and customs to my own family. Now, I plan on continuing my studies of cultures, and I'm not just saying that because I feel I have to for this assignment. I truly find cultural studies to be enlightening and extremely rewarding. My ultimate goal is for my company to relocate me to another country. Thanks, guys.